The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this week. My name is Tanya, and I'm the Marketing Manager over here at Struxoft Solutions. So just for those of you who are new with us today, our STAR solution MWF, which stands for Metal Wood Framer, is our Revit-based BIM framing solution that allows users to automate Revit walls, floors, ceilings, and trusses in light-gauge steel and also in wood. So in today's webinar, our MWF expert Marilyn will be walking you through how to split panels within one single Revit wall using a couple different methods in MWF. This includes how to split tools under the marker pull down and also how to split tools through the create menu. So just before we get going, I'd like to remind everyone at the end of the webinar, we'll be taking a couple of live questions. In order to be selected, please press the raise hand button. You can find that on the dashboard. Just please also make sure that your mic is working correctly. If you'd prefer, you can also ask questions throughout the webinar by typing them into the questions tab of the GoToWebinar dashboard. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to hand off to Marilyn now.
Hello, everybody. So just like Tanya was stating, we're going to go over how to split your MWF panel in one Revit wall. So we're going to have multiple panels in one Revit wall. So we do have a couple of options to do that. So the first one I'm going to go over is the one in the create menu. So we're going to use the splitting panels by offset. So you can see in this example here, I have some reference planes and I have some dimensions. So the first panel I'm going to create is going to be 7 foot. The next one from the end of that panel is going to be 14 foot. Then we're going to do a 21 and then 28. So you're going to see that this option that I'm going to be showing you is going to be always going to start from the start of the panel. So we're going to select the panel, the Revit wall. We're going to go into the Struxoft tab. We're going to hit create. And you can see that this is the create dialog box. You can see on the side here, we have some split points. So we're going to be using the offset. You can see in this case, we do have the baseline checked by default. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to place the values that I needed. So I'm going to put 7, 14, and I'm going to put 28. You'll see that the 28 does land here. As soon as I select the template, set as active, close, you can see this information still stays. This will vary based off of the template. As soon as I hit create, you're going to notice that, yes, I did put 4 values. However, we are creating 5 panels. The software will recognize there's a remaining Revit wall, and it will apply that panel based off the remaining Revit wall. Perfect. Now you can see wherever I have that reference plane, we do have the start of a panel. So this is going to be the start of that panel, and it's going to be the end of that panel. Same thing over here. And like I said, we do have that remaining wall left. And it's always going to be starting from a location. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to remove these panels that we have there. I'm going to go back in the create menu. I'm going to have the offset, but I am going to have this option unchecked. And so basically what happens is whatever values you put in there for the offset is going to be the length of that panel. So let's say the first one, we're going to say, let's say 7 foot. The next one, we're going to say 21. And then we're going to say 8 feet. I'm going to hit create. So right now it's going to create 4 due to we're not putting enough the values that we put in there. we still had that remaining wall left. So there is my 7 foot. So if I dimension from there to the next break, you can see it's 21. And we did do another one. Oh, sorry. Right here. And there's your 8 feet. So you have two ways of doing that. Another option I'm going to be showing you is by dimensions. So for this one, I'm going to go into a section box. And if I select that Revit wall, you can see that the Revit wall length is 40 feet, and the length here, the height is 12 feet 8. So what we want to do is we want to have our maximum of 20 feet and our height as 6'8". So to do that, we're going to go back into the Create menu. And instead of doing the offset, we're going to go into the dimensions. And we're going to do length. So I'm going to say 20 feet. So you're basically stating that the maximum that you can create is 20 feet. So the software will only create it at 20 feet or anything that is in between that. That's the maximum length. And then for the height, we're going to say 6'8". And what's going to happen is it's going to create 4 based off of the information that I put in there. So you can see in this case, if I zoom into that area, again, it's based off of the start of the panel. So from here to this break, we have the 20 feet. And with the height, you can see from the bottom going up, we have that 6'8". So based off of the information that we put in, it created 4 panels. So that's the information that we have in the panels property. So the next one I'm going to show you is the split options under the marker pull down. So the first one we're going to show is the split by wall. So I'm going to have my wall selected. I'm going to go into the markers. I'm going to hit the command. It's going to ask you to select your wall again. You can see just down over here, so select wall. That's going to ask you to select the points where you would like the walls to start from. So you can say from the endpoint of the physical wall to the endpoint of the other side of that wall. Or if you need to start a little bit in between, maybe a half an inch or so forth like that, again, you can put reference planes to know exactly where you need to. I'm just going to select this point here to this point over. Let's say we're going to start somewhere around here. Then it's going to ask you to select a reference point to start your split markers. So from those locations, maybe you would like your split markers to start here. So we have our panel coming from here to here, and the first split marker is going to start from here. Then it's going to start our new panel. So I'm going to say from here. This dialog box is going to pop up. So again, you have your start offset and end offset. That's based off of the points that we have selected. And then our minimum panel length. So because by default we put 5 feet, it is going to create 11 panels. However, we want our minimum to be 12 feet. So from there, we're only going to be creating 5 panels. We're going to hit OK. Again, it's still going to keep us in the tool. And the reason for that is we can select the new panel and do the same operations again. In this case, we're going to hit Escape to just apply it to that panel. Now, if I do scroll in, you can see in this case here, I do have this little marker. This is our split wall horizontal marker, and this tells the software. This tells us the software where to stop the panel and then start a new panel. If we go into edit type, I'm just going to go in here. You can see the left and right gap is set to 0. So that means that when we finish a panel and start a new panel, our both end studs are going to be flush. However, if we wanted to have, let's say, a half a gap between them, what we can do is we can hit the duplicate, name it, and then on the left, I want a 0.25, and on the right, left and right, 0.25, so it can equal a half a gap. Now from there, you can see that the split marker does change, and it will let you know by just hovering over it what we are using. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this panel. I'm just going to go into my template map, make sure that I have set it up. Perfect. And then from there, we're just going to quick create the panels. And you can see it's going to create multiple panels in that one Revit wall. So it's just loading. You can see right here, we have created panel 306, and then we have 307. So you can see it did break my panels up into different sections based off of the split by rule settings. So next one I'm going to show you is the split by rule. And this one here, you are going to put in some values. So I'm going to select the wall. I'm going to go into markers. I'm going to set split by rule. So this dollar box is going to come in, and here you're going to set your minimum panel length. So what's the smallest that you can create? By default, we give you 2 feet. So if it's maybe smaller or a little bit larger, you can change that. And we can come in here and we can change this. So by default, we have 10 feet. This is a large wall. So it's about 154. So I'm going to make this value here a little bit large. I'm going to make it 60 feet. However, you can go in and let's say in this case, you need it to be every 10 feet. We will adjust it. And then if the 60 feet lands where an opening is, we'll shift it to the closest opening, still respecting the maximum. And then from there, we're going to offset a split marker based off of the value you have in there. So from an opening, what's the closest you can start a panel? In this case, we said, 4 inches. So if the closest that we can create is 8 inches, we would just split that value. Then you have your split marker. So again, you have the one that we just created. For this one, I am just going to use the standard one that comes out of the box so that you guys can see how it looks like. So I'm going to hit confirm. And what this does, it's going to place this split marker throughout your project, throughout this wall, based off of the information that we put in there. So there is 60. And if I go onto the other side, I don't have anything here. Now, if I click create, so with this one can give you your, from the start of your panel to the end, you go in there and you put in your maximum. And what we try to do is we'll try to do your maximum based off of the information that you put in there. And again, if there is an opening, we'll shift it to the opening tolerance. And from that marker to your next marker will be your maximum. So in this case here, we created 3 panels based off of the maximum that we have put in there. If I do scroll to where, or zoom in to where I have a split marker, like I said before, our default one has them flush. So what I'm going to do in this case here is, you'll notice, if I zoom into this area, we have what we call a start reference. So the start reference is something that is in the panel in the create menu. So I'm just going to select this one right here. I'm going to hit create. You can see we have that start reference right there. So we do have 2 options. So by default, we always put it to panel, and we also have the Revit wall itself. What this does, if we say by panel, is the spacing is per panel. So we have the traditional first stud, of our 1'4" in this case, and then we do the traditional spacing of, in this case, is 1'4". However, let me just go to the next marker. You can see in this case here, from this stud to this stud, if I do the spacing, it's going to be much more than what my traditional space is. It's 2'8". What I would like to is I would like to have a continuous spacing throughout these throughout this wall and throughout these panels. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to remove these panels. So it's created 3. We're going to remove these 3. Still having the panels, still having the split markers there, we're going to, instead of hitting quick create, we're going to hit create. And instead of having panel, we're going to select the wall. We're going to hit create. Just finishing up my panels. If we zoom into this area, and if I go from the center to this one to the center here, you can see we have that 1'4". Same thing if I go over here to this split marker, from this member to this member, we have that 1'4". So if you need to have your panels, if you're using the split options and you need to have your panels, your spacing in that wall continuous, this is the method that you would use. Next one I'm going to show you is splitting your panels based off of a benchmark. So again, I'm going to select the Revit wall. I'm going to go into the MWF tab, markers, split by benchmark. it's going to ask you to select your benchmark. So I'm going to select this one. And it's just going to give you some values for your opening tolerance, your height, your normal length. So for the tolerance, I'm going to say in this case, I'm going to say 3 inches. Height-wise, I'm going to say 10. And then for the length, I'm going to say 17.8. Again, you have the option for what type of split marker you're going to be using. I'm going to hit OK. This is just basically saying that there's some parameters in the benchmark that doesn't exist. Again, we can just create them. However, if we zoom in there, you can see I have my split markers already placed, and it is going to be associated or placed where that benchmark is and then offset on each side. Now from here, what I can do is I can create my, base it off of the create menu, quick create, or create my panels based off of the create menu if I would like it from panel or from wall. Now, let's say, for example, in this case here, I haven't created any of my panels. I want to convert this panel into a multi-layer panel. So I want to add sheeting, I want to add any secondary layers to it. From there, when it comes to our multi-layer, the concept is one panel, one wall. In this here, we have the one wall, multiple panels. So what we need to do is we need to split this wall into sections of the maximum of what we can do. So what we can do is we can use the splice of Revit. However, in this case here, I do have a lot of splices. So what we have done is we have created a tool that will splice your wall or cut your wall at each split marker. So I'm going to select this one here. And if I just zoom in here, I can see in this case here this is based off of my minimum. I will remove this one just by selecting it and hitting delete in Revit. Also, if let's say, for example, the distance between them, you need to move them for some reason, you can always select it and just move it to the location that you would like. That is an option. So what I would like to do is I would like to cut my wall at every location where there's a split marker. So by doing that, we're going to select the Revit wall. We're going to go into the marker, hold down, and we're going to hit wall splitter. So if I select that wall, you can see wherever there was split marker, it cut my wall. Now, if I go back to having my splits and I decide that in this case here, I want to change it to, let's say, the half a gap one. Do the same thing over here. If I do the wall splitter again, you will see in these two sections that I will have a gap. So the command will recognize that you have put that information in there, and it will adjust the walls to that value. So if I dimension from here to here, you can see, oops. You can see that we have that half a gap there. Now I can come in here and I can quick create using the multi-layer or create them using just a standard one and then convert them into a multi-layer after I finish doing what I need to do. Perfect. So in this webinar, we went over the split options that we have in our software.
Awesome. Thank you, Marilyn. So we'd like to open the floor to all of you. If you'd like to pose a question live, just to remind you, just click on the hand icon that you can find in the control panel. Just please also make sure that your audio is working correctly. And just while we wait for any potential questions to come through, I'd just like to remind everyone that the recording of the presentation will be sent through tomorrow. As always, please feel free to share the recording with any colleagues. And if you're looking for the recording a little earlier, you can usually find it at the end of the day today across our social media channels. So there were a couple questions that came through, Marilyn, the chat. You may have already have answered these though, but the first one, is there a way to split a panel into a specific number of panels equally?
Yes, so in that case, we would use the split by rule, and in there, you have your maximum, and in that case, it will do your maximum. However, if there is an opening or anything like that, we will adjust it to the right location based off of your open tolerance, and then from there, we'll start your maximum spacing.
Okay, perfect. Just going to give it another couple seconds to see if there are any other questions that came through. All right, well, that looks like it's a wrap for today. If there are any follow-up questions after we close the session, please feel free to contact us. Our contact details will be provided along with the recording tomorrow. All right, so we'll now be ending the webinar. Just want to say a big thank you to Marilyn, and also thank you to everyone who registered and attended. Have a great day.
Have a nice day.